My name is Paula Sadler. I am 32 years old, and tonight I am standing in the corner of my parents' living room, watching my entire family celebrate my twin sister's birthday, while pretending mine does not exist. The banner stretched across the fireplace reads Happy Birthday, Rebecca, in glittering gold letters. The cake, a three-tiered masterpiece covered in fondant roses, has her name scrolled across the top in elegant script. The gifts pile high on the dining room table, wrapped in expensive paper with elaborate bows. Rebecca stands at the center of it all, radiant in a dress I know cost more than my monthly rent, surrounded by aunts and uncles and cousins who hang on her every word. I stand by the kitchen doorway, holding a glass of water because no one thought to pour me wine. My mother moves through the crowd with practiced grace, refilling champagne flutes and accepting compliments on the party she threw together. I watch her stop beside Mrs. Chen from next door, and I watch her smile grow wider as she gestures toward Rebecca. Thank God we only had to plan one party this year, my mother says, her voice carrying across the room with perfect clarity. Rebecca deserves all our attention. The words hit me like a physical blow. My hand trembles around the glass. The water inside shivers, creating tiny ripples that mirror the trembling in my chest. I do not cry. I learned years ago that crying only makes it worse. I do not speak, because what would I say? That today is my birthday too. That I am standing 10 feet away, invisible, on the day I was born. I simply stare at the cake, at the 32 candles Rebecca is about to blow out, at the family that has erased my existence on the one day I was supposed to matter. If you have ever been the forgotten one in your own family, the invisible child who gave everything and received nothing, stay with me, because what happened next changed everything. And if this story resonates with you, please share it so others know they are not alone. Rebecca closes her eyes and makes a wish. Everyone counts down. 3, 2, 1. She blows out the candles, and the room erupts in applause. My father wipes tears from his eyes. My mother embraces Rebecca, like she has just accomplished something profound. My younger cousins rush forward to grab pieces of cake before it is even cut. This is not the first time. That is what makes it unbearable. This is not some terrible mistake, some oversight that will be corrected with embarrassed apologies. This has been my reality for 32 years. When we were 7, Rebecca got a birthday party at the skating rink with 25 friends. I got a card my mother bought at the drugstore and signed 5 minutes before handing it to me. When we turned 13, Rebecca received a jewelry box filled with real gold earrings. I received nothing, and when I asked why, my mother said we could not afford 2 gifts that year. When we turned 16, Rebecca got a car, a cherry red Honda with a bow on top, parked in the driveway on the morning of our birthday. I got a bus pass and a lecture about responsibility. Every year, my parents had excuses. Money was tight. Rebecca needed it more. I was too mature to care about such things. I was the strong one, the independent one, the one who did not need validation or celebration or love. I believed them for a long time. I told myself I did not mind. I told myself birthdays were just arbitrary markers, that material things did not matter, that I was above needing recognition. But standing here tonight, watching my mother cut the cake and serve Rebecca the first slice, watching my father raise his glass in a toast to his precious daughter, I realize I have been lying to myself for 3 decades. Rebecca catches my eye across the room. For just a moment, our gazes lock. I wait for something, recognition, guilt, acknowledgement. But she simply smiles, a bright, empty smile, and turns back to her admirers. She has never once questioned why I do not get parties. She has never once suggested we share a celebration. She has simply accepted that she is the one who matters, and I am the shadow standing beside her. I set down my glass of water on the kitchen counter. My hands are steadier now. Something inside me has shifted, something fundamental and irreversible. I look around the room one more time, at the family that forgot me, at the sister who never cared, at the life I have been living in the margins. But this year, something inside me breaks, and this year, I decide to remember everything. I have spent my entire life trying to understand why I was not enough, why Rebecca received love, and I received duty, why she was celebrated, and I was tolerated. I have replayed my childhood 1,000 times, searching for the moment I failed, the moment I became invisible. But there was no moment. I was born invisible. I was born the shadow to her light. Rebecca was beautiful, even as a child, golden hair that curled naturally, wide blue eyes that sparkled when she laughed, a smile that could charm anyone. I was ordinary, brown hair that hung straight and limp, gray eyes that people never quite remembered, a face that blended into backgrounds. Our parents looked at us and saw a star and a stagehand. They chose accordingly. When we were 10, Rebecca announced she wanted to be a dancer. Within a week, my parents enrolled her in the most expensive ballet academy in the state, private lessons twice a week, custom costumes, trips to competitions in other cities. I watched her dance, watched my parents beam with pride in the audience, watched them spend thousands of dollars to make her dream come true. That same year, I told my parents I wanted to learn piano. My mother sighed and said lessons were too expensive. My father said I could teach myself using YouTube videos. When I pressed, when I dared to point out that Rebecca got ballet lessons, my mother's expression turned cold. Rebecca has talent, she said simply. We are investing in her future. The implication was clear. I had no talent. I had no future worth investing in. When we turned 16, the car appeared in the driveway for Rebecca, cherry red with a white bow. She screamed with joy. She hugged our parents. She called all her friends. I stood on the porch, holding my bus pass, watching her drive away. That night, I asked my father why I did not get a car. He looked at me like I had asked for something absurd. You are more responsible, he said. You do not need a car to prove anything. I wanted to scream that I was not more responsible. I was just more ignored, but I did not. I smiled and nodded and took the bus to school for the next 2 years, while Rebecca drove past me every morning. When we graduated high school, Rebecca was accepted to a prestigious university 3 states away. My parents cried with joy. They paid her full tuition, her room and board, her meal plan, her textbooks. They bought her a laptop and new clothes and helped her move into her dorm. I was accepted to the same university. When I told my parents, they congratulated me and said I should apply for scholarships. When I did not receive enough scholarship money to cover the costs, they suggested community college. When I asked if they could help at all, my father said they had already stretched their budget for Rebecca. I worked 3 jobs to pay my way through community college. I took classes at night and on weekends. I lived at home because I could not afford an apartment. I watched Rebecca post photos on social media of her college parties, her spring break trips, her sorority formals. I ate ramen and worked double shifts and studied in the basement because Rebecca needed the bedroom to herself when she came home on holidays. I told myself it was fine. I was building character. I was learning resilience. I was becoming strong, but I was really just becoming numb. When Rebecca graduated college, my parents threw her a massive party, catered food, live music, a video montage of her life. When I graduated 2 years later with honors, my mother baked a cake from a box mix and invited a few relatives over for coffee. When Rebecca got engaged, my parents paid for her entire wedding. $50,000 for a venue overlooking the ocean, designer dress, live band, open bar. I was the maid of honor. I planned her bridal shower and bachelorette party, both of which I funded myself, because Rebecca said she wanted them to be special. When I got engaged a year later, I called my mother to share the news. She said, "That is nice, dear," and changed the subject. When I asked if she and Dad could contribute anything to the wedding, she laughed. "We already paid for one wedding," she said. "You will have to figure it out." I eloped. My husband and I got married at the courthouse with 2 witnesses we met in the parking lot. I wore a dress I bought on clearance. We had dinner at Olive Garden afterward. I told myself it was romantic, intimate, meaningful. I did not tell myself I was heartbroken that my parents did not care enough to be there. When my father got sick 5 years ago, I was the one who stepped up. I left my job to help manage the family business, a small accounting firm he had built over 30 years. I worked 60-hour weeks. I kept the business running while he recovered. I asked Rebecca to help, but she was too busy with her own life, her husband, her kids. When my father recovered, he thanked me by giving me my old salary and promoting Rebecca, who had done nothing, to partner. When I asked why, he said Rebecca had a family to support. I had a family too, but mine did not seem to count. I loaned Rebecca money when she needed it, $5,000 to cover credit card debt, $3,000 for a down payment on a new SUV, $8,000 when her husband's business hit a rough patch. She promised to pay me back. She never did. When I gently reminded her, she said, Family does not keep score, but family does keep score. They just only count what matters to them. I babysat Rebecca's children every weekend for 2 years while she and her husband took couples trips and spa weekends. I did it for free, because she said she could not afford childcare. Then I saw her post photos from Turks and Caicos, from Napa Valley, from Aspen. She could afford vacations. She just could not afford to pay me. I spent 32 years, giving everything to a family that gave me nothing in return. I told myself it was fine. I told myself I was the strong one, the independent one, the one who did not need anything. And tonight, watching my family celebrate Rebecca while ignoring me completely, I realize I have been a ghost in my own family for 32 years. A ghost who cooked and cleaned and sacrificed and gave, but who was never real enough to matter. I leave the party early. I do not say goodbye. I simply set down my glass, grab my coat from the hall closet, and walk out the front door. No one notices. The laughter and music continue behind me, a soundtrack to my invisibility. I walk to my car in the dark. The October air is cold, biting through my thin sweater. My hands shake as I unlock the door. I slide into the driver's seat and sit there, staring at the steering wheel, my chest tight and aching. For 32 years, I have held everything inside. For 32 years, I have told myself not to be dramatic, not to be selfish, not to expect more than I deserve. But tonight, sitting alone in my car while my family celebrates without me, I finally allow myself to feel it, the rejection, the pain, the bone-deep knowledge that I have never been enough. I cry, not delicate tears, but deep, gasping sobs that shake my entire body. I cry for every birthday I spent alone, for every achievement that went unnoticed, for every moment I was told my feelings did not matter. I cry until my throat is raw, and my eyes are swollen, and I have nothing left inside. Then my phone buzzes. I almost ignore it, but something makes me look. A text from Maya, my younger cousin. She was at the party tonight, standing near the back. I barely noticed her. The message reads, "I saw what they did. I'm so sorry. You deserve better." I stare at the words. Someone saw, someone noticed. For the first time in my life, someone acknowledged that what happened to me was wrong. My hands tremble as I type back, "Thank you." 3 dots appear immediately. Maya is typing. Then another message comes through. "There's something you should know about Rebecca and your parents. Can we meet tomorrow?" My heart pounds. Something I should know. What could Maya possibly know that I do not? I type, "Yes, where?" She sends me the name of a coffee shop across town. 10 a.m. I'll be there. I set down my phone and lean back against the seat. My mind spins. What could Maya know? What secret has my family been keeping? And why is she telling me now? That night, I cannot sleep. I lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every birthday, every holiday, every moment I was pushed aside for Rebecca. I think about the car, the college tuition, the wedding. I think about the business partnership my father gave to Rebecca instead of me. I think about every loan I made, every favor I did, every piece of myself I gave away, hoping it would finally be enough. I think about my marriage, how I almost lost it, because I was always running to help my family. My husband David begged me to set boundaries, to stop letting them take advantage of me, but I could not, because if I stopped giving, I would have nothing left to offer, and if I had nothing to offer, why would they keep me around at all? I built my entire life on the foundation of being invisible. I chose a quiet career, a modest apartment, a small social circle. I never asked for too much, because I was terrified of being told I was asking for too much. I made myself smaller and smaller, hoping that if I took up less space, maybe there would finally. But there was never room for me, no matter how small I made myself. Rebecca's light filled every corner. I roll over and look at the clock. 3 in the morning. In 7 hours, I will meet Maya. In 7 hours, I will learn whatever secret she has been carrying. And for the first time in my life, I wonder what would happen if I stopped being invisible. What would happen if I took up space? What would happen if I took up space? What would happen if I demanded to be seen? The coffee shop is small and quiet, tucked into a corner of a shopping plaza I have never visited. I arrive 10 minutes early and order a black coffee. I do not drink. My stomach is too knotted to handle caffeine, but I need something to do with my hands. Maya arrives exactly at 10. She looks nervous, her eyes darting around the shop before she spots me in the corner booth. She is 26, 6 years younger than me, the daughter of my mother's youngest brother. We were never close growing up,
She was always just a kid at family gatherings, but she has always been kind to me in a way the rest of the family was not. She slides into the booth across from me, clutching her purse like a life raft. Thank you for meeting me, of course. My voice sounds steadier than I feel. What did you want to tell me? Maya takes a deep breath. Her hands tremble slightly as she pulls out her phone. I have been carrying this for 2 years. I should have told you sooner, but I was scared. My parents told me to stay out of it, that it was not my business. But after last night, she trails off, her eyes meeting mine. Oh, you deserve to know. Know what? She opens a folder on her phone and turns the screen toward me. It is a photograph of a document, legal looking, typed on official letterhead. I lean closer, squinting at the small text. Last will and testament of Margaret Sadler. I read aloud. My grandmother, she died 14 years ago, when Rebecca and I were 18. Keep reading, Maya says softly. I scroll down. The document outlines my grandmother's estate, her house, her savings, her possessions. Most of it was left to my grandfather, who passed away 2 years later. But there in the middle of the page is a section that makes my blood run cold. I leave the sum of $150,000 to be divided equally between my granddaughters, Paula Marie Sadler and Rebecca Ann Sadler, to be distributed when they reach the age of 30. I read it 3 times, equally, $75,000 each. When we turned 30, I turned 30, 2 years ago. I never received a cent. I don't understand, I whisper. Maya's eyes fill with tears. Your parents told you the inheritance went entirely to Rebecca, right? They said, Grandma left everything to Rebecca, because she was Grandma's favorite. The lie sounds absurd now, spoken aloud. My grandmother loved us both. She was one of the few people who always treated me like I mattered. That was a lie, Maya says. Her voice is shaking. The inheritance was always meant for both of you. Your parents were the executors. They were supposed to split it, but they didn't. What do you mean they didn't? Maya pulls out more photos, bank statements, transfer records, dates and amounts that blur together. As I try to process what I am seeing, they diverted your share into Rebecca's accounts. Maya says, all of it. When you both turned 30, they told Rebecca she was getting her inheritance. They never told you. They have been stealing from you for 2 years. The coffee shop tilts. I grip the edge of the table to steady myself. How do you know this? My mom worked as your dad's assistant for a few months, remember? Last year, before she quit, she saw the paperwork. She told my dad, and they decided not to get involved. But Maya's voice breaks. I took photos. I thought maybe someday you would need them. And after last night, after watching them celebrate Rebecca, while you stood there invisible, I couldn't keep quiet anymore. I stare at the documents on her phone, numbers and signatures and proof. For 2 years, for 730 days, my family has been stealing from me, and it was not just emotional neglect, not just favoritism or forgetfulness. It was calculated, it was theft. I think about every time I struggled to pay rent, every time I ate ramen for dinner because I could not afford groceries, every time I asked my parents for help, and they said there was no money. They had my money. They had $75,000 that belonged to me, and they gave it to Rebecca to fund her perfect life. Can you send me these photos? My voice sounds distant, like it belongs to someone else. Already done. Maya's phone buzzes, and so does mine. I sent them to your email. I look at her, this young woman, who barely knows me, who risked family backlash to tell me the truth. Why are you doing this? Her eyes meet mine, steady, despite the tears. Because what they did to you is wrong, and because someone needed to tell you that you are not crazy, you are not overreacting. You have been treated like you don't matter your entire life, and you deserve to know why. My throat tightens. Thank you. We sit in silence for a moment. Then Maya reaches across the table and squeezes my hand. What are you going to do? I look down at my phone, at the email notification waiting for me. Inside are the documents that prove my family betrayed me, in the worst possible way. Inside is evidence that could destroy them, and for the first time in my life, I feel something other than resignation. I feel anger, clear, bright, burning anger. I don't know yet, I tell Maya, but that is a lie, because sitting in that coffee shop, staring at proof of my family's theft, I make a decision. I will not confront them, not yet. I will do something far more calculated. The law office of Christine Reeves occupies the 3rd floor of a sleek building downtown. I spent 3 days researching inheritance lawyers before I chose her. Every review praised her intelligence, her tenacity, her ability to win cases that seemed unwinnable. When I called to make an appointment, Her assistant fit me in within 24 hours. Miss Reeves is younger than I expected, maybe 40, with sharp features and sharper eyes. She shakes my hand with a firm grip and gestures for me to sit in the leather chair across from her desk. "Tell me everything," she says. I do. I start with my grandmother's death 14 years ago and work my way forward. The inheritance I never knew about, the favoritism that colored my entire childhood, the documents Maya showed me, which I have printed and brought in a manila folder. Miss Reeves listens without interrupting, taking notes on a legal pad in handwriting too small for me to read. When I finish, she leans back in her chair and studies me. "This is a clear case of embezzlement and breach of fiduciary duty. Your parents were the executors of your grandmother's estate. They had a legal obligation to distribute the inheritance according to the will. They didn't. That's theft." The word theft sits heavy in the air between us. "Can I get it back?" I ask. "Yes, with interest and damages. If we pursue this, you could recover the full 75,000 plus 2 years of accrued interest at the legal rate, plus punitive damages for breach of trust." She pauses. "But I need to be clear with you, Paula. This will destroy your relationship with your family. Are you prepared for that?" I think about last night, about 32 years of standing in corners, about every birthday I spent alone. My relationship with my family has been destroyed my entire life. I am just the last one to realize it. Miss Reeves nods slowly. "Then let's build a case. I will need more than the documents Maya provided. I will need official records, the original will, bank statements, tax returns. Can you access any of that?" "My parents keep files in their home office. I have a key." "Then we do this quietly. Visit when they are not home. Photograph everything you can find related to the estate. Also," she pauses, choosing her words carefully, "if you can record conversations where they discuss the inheritance, that would be helpful. But be aware of your state's recording laws. We are a one-party consent state," I say. "I researched that too." "Good. Then record anything relevant, dates, amounts, conversations about why they distributed the money the way they did." She leans forward. "But Paula, and this is important, you cannot tip them off. You need to act completely normal. Go to family dinners, answer phone calls, pretend nothing has changed. Can you do that?" I think about every performance I have given for this family, every time I smiled when I wanted to scream, every time I swallowed my feelings to keep the peace. I have been acting my entire life. "Yes," I say, "I can do that." Miss Reeves extends her hand. "Then let's get you what you are owed." The next 3 weeks are the strangest of my life. I become a spy in my own family. I smile at dinners and laugh at my father's jokes. I text Rebecca back when she sends me memes. I help my mother plan the church fundraiser like I always do, and the entire time I am gathering evidence. I visit my parents' house when they go to their Wednesday night bridge club. I tell them I need to water their plants, which I have done 100 times before, but this time I bring my phone and a portable scanner I bought on Amazon. Their home office is on the second floor, a small room lined with filing cabinets. I know my father's organizational system because I helped him set it up years ago. Estate documents are in the cabinet marked legal, third drawer down. My hands shake as I open the drawer. There in a folder labeled Mother's Estate is my grandmother's will, the original, notarized document. I photograph every page, making sure the text is clear and readable. Then I find the executor documents, the bank transfers, the tax forms my parents filed for the estate. It is all there, every piece of evidence Miss Reeves needs. They did not even try to hide it because they never thought I would look. I also find something else, a folder marked Rebecca, financial support. Inside are records of every payment my parents made to Rebecca over the last 10 years. Her down payment on her house, $40,000. Her car, $25,000. Her credit card debt, $18,000. Her children's private school tuition, $30,000 per year. I do the math in my head. In the last 10 years, my parents have given Rebecca over $200,000, and that does not include the inheritance money. I photograph everything, then I close the drawers, water the plants, and lock the door behind me. That weekend Rebecca calls. She needs a favor. She always needs favors. "Can you watch the kids Saturday night?" she asks. "Mark and I have dinner reservations." I almost say no. Every cell in my body screams to refuse, but I remember Miss Reeves's advice. Act normal. "Sure," I say. "What time?" 6.
You are the best, Paula. I don't know what I would do without you. You would have to parent your own children, I think. But I say, happy to help. Saturday night. I show up at Rebecca's house with a bag of toys for the kids. Her home is beautiful. A 4-bedroom colonial. with a manicured lawn and a 2-car garage. I helped her move in. I helped her decorate. I helped her build this life. And I never once questioned how she could afford it all. Now I know. She could afford it because she had my money. Rebecca greets me at the door in a cocktail dress, her hair styled in soft waves. "You are a lifesaver," she says, kissing my cheek. "Kids are already in pajamas. Just put them to bed at 8. Have fun," I say. She leaves, and I spend 3 hours playing with my niece and nephew. They are good kids, sweet and funny. I read them stories and tuck them into bed, and when they fall asleep, I sit in Rebecca's living room and look around. The expensive furniture, the designer rugs, the photos on the walls showing a perfect family in perfect clothes at perfect vacation, all of it built on money that was supposed to be mine. My phone buzzes, a text from my mother: "Lunch tomorrow after church." I could say no. I could ghost them all right now, cut them off, and let Miss Reeves handle everything. But that would give them warning. That would let them prepare. I type back: "Sounds good. See you there." Rebecca calls me 3 weeks later. Her voice on the phone is frantic, bordering on hysterical. "Paula, I need your help. I am sitting at my kitchen table, reviewing documents with Miss Reeves on a video call." I mute the call and answer Rebecca. "What's wrong?" "It's Mark. He lost his job, the company downsized, and he was part of the layoffs. We cannot make our mortgage payment this month. I need to borrow $10,000. $10,000. She says it like it is nothing, like I am a bank that dispenses money on demand. "Why do not you ask Mom and Dad?" I keep my voice gentle, neutral. Rebecca laughs, but it is a bitter sound. "They have already given me so much. I cannot ask them again. Please, Paula, I will pay you back. I promise." She has promised before, 5 times before, to be exact. I am still waiting on $16,000 from previous loans. "Let me think about it," I say. "Think about it." Her voice sharpens. "Paula, we might lose our house. I need an answer now." I said I will think about it. There is a pause. I can hear her breathing on the other end, quick and angry. "You always help me. Why are you being difficult now?" "Because I am done being your ATM, I think. Because you are asking me for money that is actually mine to begin with. Because you have never once asked how I am doing, or how I can afford to help you." But I do not say any of that. Instead, I say calmly, "Rebecca, I need time to look at my finances. I will get back to you by tomorrow." "Fine." She hangs up without saying goodbye. I unmute my video call. Miss Reeves is watching me with raised eyebrows. Let me guess, she wants money. $10,000. Are you going to give it to her? "No." Miss Reeves smiles. "Good. We are almost ready to file. 2 more weeks, and we will have everything we need." That night, my phone rings again. This time it is my mother. I consider letting it go to voicemail, but I answer. "Paula." Her voice is cold, clipped. "Rebecca told me you refused to help her." "Refused, not couldn't help. Not needed time to think. Refused." "I did not refuse," I say carefully. "I told her I need to check my finances first. After everything this family has done for you, you would let your sister lose her house." The words hit me like a slap. After everything this family has done for me, what exactly have they done for me? Forgotten my birthdays, stolen my inheritance, made me feel invisible for 32 years. "Mom, you have always been selfish." "Paula," she interrupts. Her voice is sharp, cutting. "Rebecca needs you, and you turn your back on her. I raised you better than this." I sit in stunned silence. Selfish. She is calling me selfish. Me, the daughter who worked 3 jobs to pay for college while they funded Rebecca's sorority fees. Me, the daughter who ran their business while Dad was sick. Me, the daughter who has given and given, and given until there is nothing left. "I need to go," I say quietly. "Paula." I hang up. My hands are shaking. My chest is tight. I have never hung up on my mother before. I have never walked away from a conversation with her. I have always stayed, always listened, always swallowed whatever she needed to say to me. But not anymore. Because sitting in my kitchen, staring at my phone, I know the time has come. Miss Reeves said 2 more weeks. But I cannot wait 2 more weeks. I cannot pretend for another day. I text Miss Reeves. "How fast can we move?" Her response comes within minutes. "I can file by Monday. Are you ready?" I think about my mother's voice calling me selfish. I think about Rebecca demanding money that was mine to begin with. I think about 32 years of being invisible. I type yes. Let's do it. I schedule the family meeting for Sunday afternoon. I tell my parents I have something important to discuss. They agree, assuming I am calling to apologize for refusing to help Rebecca, or maybe to write her a check. They suggest meeting at their house, the same house where I spent my childhood being forgotten. I arrive at 2 o'clock. Miss Reeves arrives at 2:15. When I walk in with a lawyer, my father's face hardens. What is this? He demands. This is a legal matter, I say calmly. Please sit down. Rebecca is already there, sitting on the couch with her arms crossed. She looks at me with barely concealed disgust. My mother hovers near the fireplace, her expression confused and defensive. We all sit. The living room feels smaller than I remember, cramped and suffocating. I place a manila folder on the coffee table. 12 years ago, I begin, my voice steady. Grandma Margaret died. She left an inheritance to be split equally between Rebecca and me. $75,000 each, to be distributed when we turned 30. My mother's face pales. My father's jaw tightens. Rebecca looks confused. You told me the inheritance went entirely to Rebecca. I continue, looking directly at my parents. You said Grandma left everything to her. That was a lie. I open the folder and pull out copies of the will, the bank transfers, the executor documents. I lay them out on the table one by one, like a prosecutor presenting evidence. You diverted my share into Rebecca's accounts. You stole $75,000 from me. You used my money to fund her life while I struggled to pay rent. Rebecca's voice rises, shrill and defensive. That is insane. Mom, Dad, tell her she is crazy. But my parents say nothing. They just sit there, frozen, staring at the documents on the table. Their silence is the loudest confession in the world. Miss Reeves speaks next, her voice calm and professional. Mr. and Mrs. Sadler, as executors of Margaret Sadler's estate, you had a legal obligation to distribute the inheritance according to the will. You failed to do so. This constitutes embezzlement and breach of fiduciary duty. Paula is entitled to recover the full amount, plus interest accrued over 2 years at the legal rate of 5%, plus punitive damages for breach of trust. She pauses, letting the words sink in. That brings the total to approximately $93,000. My father finds his voice. This is ridiculous. You cannot sue your own family. Watch me, I say quietly. My mother's hands tremble. She presses them together, her knuckles white. Paula, please. We did it for Rebecca. She needed it more than you. You were always so independent, so strong. You did not need the money like she did. The excuse hangs in the air, pathetic and transparent. I stare at my mother, at the woman who gave birth to me, and then spent 32 years wishing she had not. You made me independent, because you gave me no choice, I say. My voice does not waver. You made me strong because you gave me no support. You decided I did not need love or help, or money because it was easier to give everything to Rebecca. Rebecca stands up, her face flushed with anger. You are tearing this family apart over money. You are willing to destroy us for a few $1,000s? $93,000. I correct her. And you tore this family apart, the moment you decided I did not matter. Rebecca opens her mouth, but no words come out. For the first time in her life, she has no response. My father tries to negotiate. What if we pay you back in installments? We cannot afford to give you that much all at once. You can afford it, I say coldly. You have given Rebecca over $200,000 in the last 10 years. I have the records. You will find a way. Miss Reeves stands. I will give you 1 week to decide. You can settle this privately, or we can go to court. If we go to court, this becomes public record. Your friends, your church community, your business associates will all know what you did. My mother makes a choked sound. My father's face turns red. The choice is yours, Miss Reeves says. She picks up her briefcase and nods to me. Paula, I stand. I look at my family one last time, at their shocked faces and trembling hands. I feel no satisfaction. I feel no triumph. I just feel tired. You have 1 week, I say. I walk toward the door. Behind me, Rebecca's voice rings out, sharp and vicious. You were always jealous of me. I stop. I turn back slowly. Rebecca is standing now, her face contorted with anger, and something else, fear maybe, or desperation. I meet her eyes. I was never jealous of you, Rebecca. I pitied you, because you have never had to earn anything in your life, and now you are about to lose everything. I walk out. Miss Reeves follows. The door closes behind us, and I hear my mother start to cry. My phone does not stop ringing for 3 days. Calls from my parents, from Rebecca, from aunts and uncles I have not spoken to in years. They yell, they beg, they try to guilt me. I am being cruel. I am being selfish. I am destroying the family over money. How can I do this to them? Do I not care about Rebecca's children? Do I not love my parents? I block most of them. I keep Maya's number active, and David's, and Miss Reeves's. Everyone else can leave voicemails. I will never listen to. Maya texts me constantly, feeding me information. The family is in meltdown. Rebecca's husband, Mark, is furious. He had no idea the house down payment came from stolen money, and now he is threatening to leave Rebecca if she does not fix this. My parents are scrambling to liquidate assets, trying to figure out how to come up with $93,000 without selling their house. Some relatives reach out privately, cautiously, to express support. My uncle James, my father's younger brother, sends a long email saying he always noticed the favoritism, but never knew what to say. My cousin Sarah calls to tell me she is proud of me for standing up for myself. Their validation feels hollow after decades of silence, but I accept it. On the fourth day, Rebecca shows up at my apartment. I watch her through the peephole, standing in my hallway, her face blotchy and swollen from crying. She knocks soft at first, then harder. Paula, please, I need to talk to you. I do not open the door. I cannot. If I see her face to face, if I let her cry and beg, I might weaken, and I cannot afford to weaken now. Paula, her voice rises. I had no idea about the inheritance. I didn't know they stole from you. You have to believe me. This is all Mom and Dad's fault, not mine. I lean against the door, my head resting on the wood. She is lying. She has to be lying. She spent my money for 2 years. She bought a house, a car, paid off debts. She never questioned where the money came from. Please, Rebecca sobs. Don't do this to me. Don't destroy my marriage. Don't take everything away. I close my eyes. Part of me, the part that spent 32 years trying to be good enough, wants to open the door, wants to forgive her, wants to believe she is innocent. But I think about the birthday parties she never shared, the loans she never repaid, the way she looked through me last month, like I was not even there. I speak through the door, my voice quiet but firm. You benefited from it, Rebecca. You spent my money. You are not innocent. I didn't know. Yes, you did. Maybe not at first, but eventually you knew, and you said nothing. Her crying turns to anger. I hear it in her voice, that sharp edge that always appears when she does not get her way. Fine, take your money, but do not expect me to ever forgive you. I do not need your forgiveness, I say. I need what is mine. She kicks the door, once, hard, then I hear her footsteps retreating down the hallway. I slide down to the floor and sit there, my back against the door, my chest aching. This is what justice feels like. It does not feel triumphant. It feels like grief. 3 days before the deadline, my phone rings. The caller ID says, Dad. I almost do not answer, but something makes me pick up. Paula, his voice sounds older, worn down. Can we meet? Just you and me. No lawyers. I hesitate. Why? Because I am your father. Because we need to talk. I should say no. Miss Reeves would say no, but I agree. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., at the Starbucks on Main Street, and I am bringing Miss Reeves. He sighs. Fine. The next day I arrive with Miss Reeves at my side. My father is already there, sitting in the corner with a coffee he has not touched. He looks smaller than I remember, his shoulders hunched, his face lined with exhaustion. We sit. Miss Reeves places her briefcase on the table between us, like a barrier. Thank you for meeting me, my father says. He looks at me, and for the first time in my life, I see something that might be shame in his eyes. Paula, I cannot fight this. You are right. What we did was wrong. We will pay you back. Good, Miss Reeves says crisply. Then we can draw up settlement papers today. But I need to ask you something. My father continues. He leans forward, his voice dropping. Rebecca's marriage is falling apart. Mark is talking about leaving her. If this becomes public, if people know what happened, he will leave. Please, Paula, don't destroy her life. I stare at him. Even now, even as he admits he stole from me, he is asking me to protect Rebecca. What about my life? I ask quietly. Did you ever worry about destroying mine? He flinches. You were always stronger. You never needed us the way Rebecca did. I needed you exactly as much as she did, I say. I just learned to live without you. Silence falls. Miss Reeves watches us both, her expression neutral. I will agree to keep this private, I say finally. No public court case, but on one condition. Anything, my father says quickly. Rebecca apologizes to me, in person, in front of you and Mom. A real apology, not an excuse. My father nods. Done. Miss Reeves pulls out papers. Settlement agreement. Payment plan. $93,000 to be paid in full within 30 days. My father signs with shaking hands. One more thing, I add. I want a written acknowledgement from you and Mom, a letter admitting what you did, explaining why, and confirming that the inheritance was always meant to be split equally. I want it on record. My father's pen hovers over the paper. Why? Because I need proof that I am not crazy, that I did not imagine 32 years of being treated like I do not matter. He signs. The apology happens 5 days later in a sterile office at Miss Reeves's firm. My parents sit on one side of the conference table. Rebecca sits between them, her face pale and pinched. I sit across from them with Miss Reeves beside me. The money has been transferred. I checked my bank account this morning and saw the deposit $93,000. It should feel vindicating. It feels empty. Rebecca, my father prompts gently. Rebecca's hands are clenched in her lap. She looks at me, and her eyes are full of resentment. I am sorry for taking what was yours. I wait. That is not an apology. That is a statement. That is not good enough, I say quietly. Rebecca's jaw tightens. My mother puts a hand on her arm, squeezing. Rebecca takes a breath and tries again. I am sorry, Paula. Her voice cracks. I did not know at first. I swear I did not. But later when I did know, I should have said something. I should have questioned it. I should have cared. I'm sorry. It is not perfect. It is tinged with defensiveness and reluctance. But there is something real in her voice. Something broken. I nod. Thank you. Miss Reeves slides the acknowledgement letter across the table. My parents have already signed it. It is 3 paragraphs outlining exactly what they did, why they did it, and confirming the inheritance was meant to be equal. My father's handwriting is shaky. My mother's is precise and controlled. I fold the letter and put it in my bag. Then I stand. We are done here, I say. My mother reaches out. Paula, please, can we talk about what happens now? Can we fix this? I look at her, at the woman who gave birth to me, and then spent a lifetime wishing I was someone else. I do not know, Mom. I really do not know. I walk out of the office. Miss Reeves follows. As the door closes behind me, I hear my mother start to cry. The months that follow are strange. I have money now, real money, enough to change my life. I pay off my credit card debt, every dollar I racked up helping a family that never helped me back. I pay off my student loans from the community college degree I worked 3 jobs to afford. I move to a bigger apartment with a balcony and a view. I enroll in a graduate program, something I always wanted but could never afford. Business management. I have spent years managing my father's firm for nothing, and now I am going to build something of my own. My relationship with my family is fractured, maybe beyond repair. My parents send texts every few weeks, awkward and stilted. How are you doing? Hope you are well. They never apologize again. They never explain. They just send empty pleasantries that I sometimes answer and sometimes ignore. Rebecca does not contact me at all. Maya tells me Rebecca and Mark are in counseling, trying to save their marriage. Maya says Rebecca is angry, bitter, convinced that I am the villain in this story. I do not argue. I do not defend myself. I just let her believe whatever she needs to believe. Maya becomes my closest family connection. We meet for coffee every Sunday. She tells me about her new job, her boyfriend, her plans to move across the country. I tell her about my classes, my apartment, my slow process of rebuilding myself. She is the only family member who does not make me feel like I have to apologize for existing. I start therapy. My therapist, Dr. Mirren, is a woman in her 50s, with kind eyes and an ability to see through every defense I have built. She helps me understand that what I experienced was not just favoritism, it was neglect. It was emotional abuse. She helps me see that I was trained from childhood to believe I did not deserve love unless I earned it. Unlearning that belief is the hardest work I have ever done. David, my husband, stands by me through all of it. He never says I told you so, even though he warned me years ago to set boundaries with my family. He just holds me when I cry and celebrates with me when I get my first A in graduate school. Slowly I start to build a life that is mine, not built on my family's crumbs, not constructed in the shadows of Rebecca's spotlight, just mine. 6 months after the settlement, I receive a letter in the mail. The return address is from a law firm I do not recognize. My hands shake as I open it. Inside is a letter on thick, expensive paper. The firm is writing on behalf of my grandmother's estate. There was a second document, one that was sealed until I turned 32, and pursued legal action regarding the inheritance. I read the letter 3 times before I understand it. My grandmother left a second trust fund, one that was meant solely for me, but it was set up with a condition. It would only be released if I took legal action to recover my original inheritance. If I fought back, if I refused to stay silent,
The trust fund is worth $150,000. My hands tremble as I read the next page. It is a letter from my grandmother, written in her careful handwriting, dated 2 months before she died. My dearest Paula, if you are reading this, it means you found the courage to stand up for yourself. I am so proud of you, sweetheart. I wish I could have done more for you when I was alive. I saw how your parents treated you. I saw how they pushed you aside for Rebecca. I tried to talk to them, but they would not listen. They were blinded by Rebecca's light and could not see yours. But I saw you, Paula. I always saw you. You are strong, kind, and worthy. You always have been. I am sorry I did not protect you more. I am sorry I did not leave this money directly, but I knew your parents would find a way to take it. So I set up this trust with a condition. I knew if you ever discovered the truth, you would have to fight for it. And I wanted to reward that fight. Use this money to build the life you deserve, sweetheart. You owe your family nothing. You owe yourself everything.
No.
Do not let them make you small. Do not let them steal your life. I love you. I always have, I always will. Grandma Margaret. I sit on my couch and cry. Not sad tears this time. Relief tears, validation tears, tears that wash away 32 years of believing I was not enough. My grandmother saw me, she always saw me, and she left me this gift, not just the money, but the message: you are worthy. You always were. I used the trust fund to start my own business. It is something I have dreamed about for years, but never had the resources to attempt. A consulting firm helping small businesses with financial management. I hire a small team. I rent an office in a building downtown with windows that let in so much light. The business grows faster than I expected. Clients praise my work. Colleagues recommend me. Within 8 months, I am profitable. Within a year, I am expanding. I discover I am good at this, not just competent, but genuinely talented. I have spent years managing my father's firm, learning systems, solving problems, building relationships. Now I am doing it for myself, and it feels like flying. I start dating again too, not seriously at first, just coffee dates and dinners with people who make me laugh. Then I meet Marcus at a networking event. He is kind, funny, and when he looks at me, he actually sees me. We take things slow, but it is good, healthy, built on honesty and respect instead of obligation and guilt. My life transforms, not because of revenge, but because I finally chose myself. I chose to believe I was worth something. I chose to demand respect instead of begging for scraps. I still think about my family sometimes. I wonder if Rebecca is okay, if my parents regret what they did, if they ever think about me. But those thoughts no longer consume me. They are just background noise in a life that is finally mine. 1 year after the settlement, I receive a phone call. Rebecca's name appears on my screen. I stare at it, my thumb hovering over the decline button. Then I answer. Paula? Her voice is quiet, uncertain. Hi Rebecca. Can we meet? I know I have no right to ask, but I need to talk to you. I almost say no. Every instinct screams to protect the peace I have built, but something in her voice stops me. Not manipulation this time, something genuine. Okay, I say. When? We meet at a park near the lake, neutral territory. It is early October, exactly 1 year since the birthday party that started everything. The air is cool, the leaves turning gold and red. Rebecca is already there, sitting on a bench. When I arrive, she looks different, thinner, tired. Her hair is pulled back in a simple ponytail, and she is wearing jeans and a sweater instead of her usual designer clothes. I sit beside her, leaving space between us. Thank you for coming, Rebecca says. She does not look at me, just stares at the lake. What did you want to talk about? She takes a deep breath. I have been in therapy, real therapy, 3 times a week. Mark insisted on it, if we were going to stay together, and I have been working on myself, trying to understand why I am the way I am. I wait. I do not fill the silence. I realized something. Rebecca continues. Her voice shakes. I was awful to you, Paula. Not just about the money, about everything. I treated you like you did not matter, because Mom and Dad taught me you didn't. They gave me everything, and made me believe I deserved it all. They pushed you aside, and made me believe you were fine with it. She finally turns to look at me. Her eyes are red-rimmed, genuine, but that is not an excuse. I am an adult. I should have seen it. I should have questioned it. I should have cared, and I did not. I took and took and took, and I never once asked what it cost you. I feel something crack in my chest. Not forgiveness, not yet, but recognition. She is finally seeing me. I do not expect you to forgive me, Rebecca says quickly. I do not expect us to be close again, but I wanted you to know that I see you now, Paula. I see what you sacrificed. I see what I took. I see how strong you had to become, because no one took care of you, and I am so, so sorry. We sit in silence for a long moment. The wind rustles the leaves, the lake ripples. I think about 32 years of invisibility, of standing in corners at birthday parties, of working 3 jobs while Rebecca vacationed. I think about the woman I was, and the woman I have become. Thank you for saying that. I say finally. It means more than you know. Rebecca nods. A tear slides down her cheek. Do you think, someday, we could try again, to be sisters? I consider the question honestly. I do not know, Rebecca. Maybe, but it would have to be different. Equal. Real. I want that, she says. I want to try. We sit together for a while longer, 2 women who share DNA, and history, and pain. We are not close. We may never be close again, but we are not enemies either, just 2 people trying to understand how we became who we are. When I leave, I feel lighter, not because Rebecca apologized, but because I no longer need her apology to know my worth. I am Paula Sadler. I am 33 years old, and tonight I am standing in my living room, surrounded by friends and colleagues, and people who genuinely love me, celebrating my birthday. The banner stretched across my wall reads, "Happy birthday, Paula," in bright, cheerful letters. The cake, a simple but beautiful chocolate creation, has my name written across it in frosting. Gifts are piled on my coffee table, each one chosen with thought and care. My friend Jessica raises her glass to Paula, the most resilient, brilliant, kind woman I know. Happy birthday. Everyone cheers. I feel tears prick my eyes, but they are good tears, happy tears, tears of someone who finally knows what it feels like to be celebrated. David wraps his arm around my shoulders and kisses my temple. Make a wish, he whispers. I close my eyes and think about wishes. For so many years, I wished my family would see me, love me, choose me. I wished I could earn their affection, their approval, their presence. But tonight I do not wish for them. I wish for continued strength, for continued growth, for the courage to keep choosing myself. I blow out the candles. The room erupts in applause. Later, after everyone leaves and the apartment is quiet, I sit on my balcony with a cup of tea and look out at the city lights. I think about the journey that brought me here, the pain, the betrayal, the decision to fight back. I think about my grandmother's letter, still tucked in my desk drawer. You owe your family nothing. You owe yourself everything. She was right. The greatest revenge was not taking back my inheritance. It was taking back my life. It was deciding that I mattered, that I deserved love and respect and celebration, regardless of whether my family agreed. I am no longer the forgotten daughter. I am no longer the shadow standing in the corner. I am Paula Sadler, business owner, graduate student, friend, partner. I am someone who takes up space unapologetically, and for the first time in my life, I am whole. If you have ever been overlooked, underestimated, or erased by the people who were supposed to love you, I hope my story reminds you that you are not alone, you are worthy, you deserve to be seen, and sometimes, the greatest act of courage is choosing yourself. If this story touched you, please share it. Someone else needs to hear it too. Thank you for walking this journey with me. 2 years have passed since that birthday party that changed everything. 2 years since I discovered the truth about my inheritance and decided to fight back. 2 years since I stopped being invisible. My business is thriving. I opened a second location last month, hired 5 more employees, and was featured in a regional business magazine as one of the top emerging entrepreneurs in the state. Clients seek me out specifically. My calendar is booked months in advance. I am building something real, something lasting, something entirely mine. Marcus and I moved in together 6 months ago. He proposed last week, on a quiet Tuesday evening, while we were cooking dinner. No grand gesture, no public spectacle, just him, looking at me across the kitchen counter saying, "I want to spend my life with you." I said yes. My relationship with my parents remains distant but civil. They attended my business launch party. They send cards on holidays. We have dinner together maybe once every 2 months, stilted and careful, but present. The closeness is gone, and I have accepted it will never return, but we have found a new equilibrium, one built on boundaries and honesty instead of obligation and resentment. Rebecca has paid back half of what she owes me. The payments are slow but consistent. We text on birthdays and holidays, brief but genuine messages. We met for coffee last month, the first time in almost a year. We talked about her kids, my business, the weather. It was not deep, but it was not hostile either. We are rebuilding, brick by careful brick, Maya is still my closest family connection. She moved to Seattle last year for a new job, but we video chat every Sunday morning. She is dating someone wonderful, and she is thinking about applying to law school. I could not be more proud of her. I also started a mentoring program through my business. Once a month, I host a workshop for young women from difficult family situations, women who feel invisible or overlooked or unworthy. I share my story, not for pity, but for empowerment. I teach them that family is not always blood. Family is the people who see you, value you, choose you. Family is the community you build, not the one you are born into. The response has been overwhelming. Women reach out to thank me, to share their own stories, to tell me I helped them find the courage to set boundaries, to leave toxic relationships, to choose themselves. That is when I know everything I went through had purpose. Last week, I received an email from a woman named Claire. She is 47, married with 3 kids, and she spent the last 20 years being her family's caretaker, while they treated her like she did not exist. She read about my mentoring program online and attended a workshop. She wrote to tell me she filed for divorce, started therapy, and applied to graduate school. I cried reading her email, because that is the gift my grandmother gave me when she left that trust fund with its impossible condition. She did not just give me money, she gave me the validation to fight, and now I get to pass that gift forward. I look back on the woman I was 2 years ago, standing in the corner of my parents' living room, invisible and forgotten, watching my family celebrate my twin sister while pretending I did not exist. I remember the glass of water trembling in my hand. I remember the ache in my chest that felt like it would never heal. That woman feels like a stranger now. I am not her anymore. I became someone new, someone forged in the fire of betrayal and choice and hard-won self-love. My business card sits on my desk, embossed with my name and title, founder and CEO. I run my fingers over the letters and smile. I built this, not with my family's support, not with their approval, but with my own hands and heart and stubborn refusal to stay invisible. And here is what I learned. I was never the problem. I was never too sensitive, too demanding, too difficult. I was just a person who deserved love, and I was surrounded by people who could not give it. The moment I stopped trying to earn what should have been freely given, the moment I walked away from the table where I was not being fed, my life transformed. I do not hate my family. I built a life without them, a life filled with people who choose me every single day. That is the greatest revenge, not needing them at all. Tonight Marcus and I are hosting a small dinner party. Friends, colleagues, people who make me laugh and see me and value me. The table is set with care, the wine is breathing, the food smells amazing. As I light the candles, I think about all the dinners I spent alone, while my family gathered without me, all the birthdays I spent invisible, all the years I believed I was not worth celebrating. I am worth celebrating. I always was. I just needed to believe it. And as the doorbell rings and my home fills with laughter and love, I know I made the right choice. Choosing myself was not selfish. It was survival. It was the most important decision I ever made. I am no longer the forgotten daughter. I am the woman who remembered herself, and that makes all the difference.